A quote that I very much enjoy that isn't just for Everest is that the hardest thing is not to climb Mount Everest, but to not tell anyone about it afterward. Hello everyone, my name is Michelle, a Griselle nymph, and today we are going to be talking about Mount Everest, adventure tourism for the super rich, and deaths that happened on them. You can't really retrieve bodies off of Mount Everest, etc. Fun facts about Everest. Some of them are disturbing though, so huge trigger warning, just in general for lightheartedness. Comment below how you feel about Mount Everest. Have you ever heard anyone who climbed any mountains, knows about Mount Everest? How you feel about mountain climbing? I don't want to. I would very much appreciate it because it helps with the algorithm, because then YouTube is like, oh, I guess I'll push this. And also it just completely makes my day. Every single subscriber, it's like, why? So peace. Namaste. It's just not on my bucket list. The same as snorkeling. Like, I think it would be so cool to go snorkeling through these underwater caves that have been more or less seen by almost nobody. But it's also fucking mortifying. Mountain in the world. I'm trying to figure out how not to do this. Like, why do I have stripes? Like, I think I got it to a point where I still have stripes, but you can see my face. So there are actually only 12 days in a year that are ideal for people to go to the summit due to the weather. The window for ascent is extremely narrow, which causes lines going up, literal lines of people. A lot of these people end up perishing because of this. The reason that people have to stay up there usually is because the air in the death zone is 3 times thinner than sea level. Like, oh my god, that's horrifying. 1 in 10 people die climbing Mount Everest. Out of the 309 people who died on the top of Mount Everest, 103 of them have been Sherpas. Almost every Sherpa claims that they had a friend that they needed to abandon on the mountain because of an unfortunate act of nature. There's avalanches, which is like, I didn't even know those were real. I thought those were just in the fucking cartoons. Mount Everest is 29,020 foot at the peak. And I know that I state that it's the rich man's climb, and a lot of people end up dying on it because they are not experienced climbers. They're probably climbers. I don't know that there's anyone who has absolutely no climbing experience who went up there, but I wouldn't be surprised. This is like a little bit of hell. These people face weeks, months of straight up climbs where they go from camp to camp to spend the night. The air is extremely thin, gets thinner and thinner the more you get up. The only time I've been in that high of altitude when I was like in the fucking Big Bear over California, so whatever. I guess you just felt a little heavier. My sister and her fiance have asthma, so they were complaining about it, whereas I have healthy lungs. But no, it's not even just climbing up. These people have to use these like ladders that they have to create, and these are the most freezing conditions. A lot of people decide to turn back because they're like, you know what, fuck this. But a lot of people, they're like, I paid money, I want to get to the top, or just because this is something that I need to do to cross off my bucket list. Like, I don't want to say I almost got to the top of Mount Everest, I want to say I got to the top of it. Camp number 4 is at 26,300 feet. At this point, you are in such high altitude that people call it the death zone. You might be thinking to yourself right now, is the death zone just like a scary name for people to use to scare off amateur hikers? It's called the death zone because every second you spend over that altitude, the human body is actively dying. So at this point, I guess this is their little marathon to the top, because this is where they have to start climbing and going to the top at the most, oh my god, the least amount of air, the most treacherous. They've been going for weeks. How much in shape do you have to be? Sometimes I'll go jogging in the summer and I'll be more in shape, and then like in the winter I won't be in shape and I'll like so much harder. Like, the fuck? People have to quickly get their way up there, go to the summit, be like, oh, I can see the curve of the earth, and then they have to quickly go back down, which kind of sucks because I would like want to have a picnic up there. I'd be like, hella, this would be a great place to propose, assuming that you would both get down alive. You can't spend too much time up there because you are actively suffocating. People actually spend 3 days in the death zone trying to trudge their way up to the very top. It literally took 12 hours for these people to go 1 mile. Of the 309 people who have passed away on Mount Everest, the last being in late 2021, this is the most common area for, unfortunately, people to lose their lives. A super fun fact about Everest, it's kind of like scuba diving, it's like the opposite. People have an extremely hard time retrieving the bodies. I know a lot of people are completely heartbroken and they're not allowed to have closure, and I know that the trauma that comes along with losing someone, to a lot of people, you need to see it to believe it. The reason that people have to stay up there usually is because their corpse will quickly freeze. It'll be covered with ice and such. There is a whole bunch of trash on top of Mount Everest because it's like the tourist destination, everyone wants to go there, and things are heavy, like people are desperate. A lot of the time I'm gonna give the benefit of the doubt. Even getting something extremely simple like a Coke can, or they wouldn't have a Coke can, off of the summit of Mount Everest would be an extreme ordeal. When people decide to retrieve these bodies, it takes a team of 8 people to retrieve one body. A really sad thing is that these heroes who go up to retrieve the bodies, a lot of these bodies who have passed away were actually because people were going up there to retrieve a body. When people are trekking up Mount Everest, some people will do things such as covering them with stones out of respect. Some people bring up flags to their country and put it on top of them, and you know, there's a picture of a teddy bear. Essentially what happens is these individuals get mummified up there by the wind, the cold. Often during these times when people pass away on top of Mount Everest, it is so that they usually aren't giving up. They're not like, oh, I'm just gonna go here and die. A lot of the time people are like, I'm just gonna sit down for a second. You can almost experience delirium because you're so out of it, almost like you're in some extreme high where you're unable to think straight. These individuals actually went up there for scientific reasons to find different rock samples of Mount Everest, and one that he took on the very peak, they found fossils of things that lived in the sea millions of years ago. Pangea and shit. It went like corroded up and created these mountains. Mount Everest. Such a funny joke because they're like, I'm the highest person in the world, and I'm like, I have been the highest person in the world. So Mount Everest is a place where people make split-second decisions, and one time that this has happened was this man, I guess, got weak. His group literally abandoned him because they knew he was too weak, he was gonna die anyway. They could have taken him and helped him and turned back, but they decided, I need to go to the summit. That selfish reason, I can't imagine abandoning a human just to go to the summit, so I must assume the best, that there's some more reasonable explanation. Karma actually exists. This guy was actually the only guy to survive. He went down, he was actually alive, and he went back, and there's actually a blizzard that killed the guys who abandoned him on their way down. So they made it! So let me know anything that I missed out, any interesting facts. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, comment below any information. Do you know anyone who went up Mount Everest? Would you like to go up Mount Everest? I would very much appreciate it because it helps with the algorithm, because then YouTube is like, oh, I guess I'll push this. And also it just completely makes my day. Every single subscriber, it's like, why? So peace, namaste, and have a good day.